When a child is very young, there is little confusion. That is because the world comes in mostly through the parents. If the parents say something is right, then it is right. If they say something is okay, then it is okay. But things change when the child goes to daycare or kindergarten. At home, it was okay to eat rice with a fork. But at kindergarten, the teacher says the child should bring chopsticks. The great giant called the parent said, it is okay to eat rice with a fork. But another giant, the teacher, says something different. Now you need to use chopsticks. Confusion appears in the child. The words of the parents, who had been the greatest giants in the world, now collide with the words of another great giant. Right at this point, A begins to grow. A is the mind that compares and judges for itself. It does not simply follow, it examines what fits better. It is not a mind without emotion. Rather, it tries to look at the situation from one step away without being swept away by emotion. So A tries to look at facts and data. It does not look only at who said something. It asks what is more reasonable, what is needed now, and which choice fits the situation better. In existing transactional analysis, this is called adult. In Torbit TA, we will call it A, the thinking self. This mind is like a calculator and control device inside us. It helps us rebuild rational standards in complex situations and find direction between emotion and impulse. Once, after finishing an egogram lecture at a gathering, I went to a restaurant with some people. It was a restaurant I was visiting for the first time. But I asked one person who came with me, how much monthly income do you think this restaurant makes? That person gave an amount almost without hesitation. I asked that person because their A was very high. A person with strong A automatically organizes and calculates information. They do not simply let the clues pass by. In their mind, they compare, predict, and examine possibilities. That person had already noticed the number of visitors entering the amusement area, the condition of the parking lot, the location of the restaurant, the atmosphere inside, and the owner's response. Calculation was already running in that person's mind. People like this structure information almost automatically. What they see becomes data. So when accurate material is available, they can sometimes make surprisingly fast and detailed judgments. A also appears as the power to make plans. It makes a list of what is needed, decides the order, and checks feasibility. It looks for a route that saves even one step. It may even calculate the best order for pressing elevator buttons. For people like this, that calculation is not forced effort. It is close to automatic. To some people, this may look overly calculating. But inside that person, an organizing process is naturally happening, so a complex situation can be handled a little more efficiently. This power also appears in emotional scenes, such as couple fights. Most people can easily cross a line when they become upset. But a person with high A does not completely collapse, even when angry. They quickly judge how far harsh words should go, where they need to stop, and which words may be hard to take back. So they may look cold on the outside. But inside, a power may be working to keep the situation from falling apart. A is not the power to remove emotion. It is also the power to handle emotion. First, it notices the emotion. I'm getting angry right now. Hurt feelings are rising right now. It sees emotion as one phenomenon. Then it does not pour that emotion out immediately. It holds it and asks, am I really angry? Or was my desire to be recognized frustrated? Finally, it chooses how to express it. It decides whether to speak now or later, and how to speak so the situation can become better. In this way, instead of being dragged by emotion, A can become an engine that reads emotion, handles it, and sets direction. Oh. However, strong A does not always mean this power is used well. When this power becomes excessive, people may feel that the person is cold. When people become upset, words often rush out. They may regret them later. They may shake and lose their balance. But a person with very high A can look different. Let's return to the scene of a couple fight. Even when the person seems angry, calculation may still be running in the mind. Even if the person uses harsh words, they may have already judged how far to go. They may decide internally, the third thing I want to say would go too far, so I will stop here. From the other person's side, this can feel frightening. Why is this person so cold, even while angry? It feels like this person has no emotion. In other words, the control power that is a strength of A can sometimes look like a mechanical response in a relationship. Handling emotion well can look to the other person like not sharing emotion at all. On the other hand, difficulties also appear when A is weak. In this case, the difficulty may show up as gaps in planning. In the past, many people bought a week's worth of groceries all at once at a large store. A person with high A organizes what is needed and puts things into the cart smoothly. But a person with low A may go to buy rice and come back with many other things, while forgetting the most important item, the rice. We can see this in students' study schedules too. Some students fill the schedule with study time from beginning to end, without any breaks. It may look like a well-made plan, but it is not a good plan. It is not realistic. These scenes show what can happen when A is weak. Even when the desire is there, if the person cannot organize the material, set priorities, and design a realistic path, it becomes hard to connect a strong start all the way to the end. One woman in her 50s wanted to become a line dance instructor, so she took several classes at different community centers at the same time. She was good at dancing and she received praise in several places. Then the instructors from each class recommended that she participate in the same dance competition. But she could enter the competition through only one team. In the end, she chose one team, entered the competition, and achieved a good result. But the participants and instructors from the other teams were also people she had learned and practiced with at other community centers. Eventually, she could not endure the pressure and awkwardness across those relationships, so she quit all the classes. This scene also shows a difficulty that can appear when A is weak. There was desire and there was ability. But the power to organize several relationships and choices in advance and to design a realistic path did not support her enough. In other words, the shadow of A can appear in two directions. When it is too high, the person may look cold and calculating. When it is too weak, planning and execution may keep falling out of alignment. The restaurant income scene we saw earlier shows the surprising power of A. It is the ability to quickly gather, organize, and predict information. A person with this strength can find direction even in a confusing situation. In an organization, they may be strong in staff roles, analysis roles, and strategy roles. But when the same power becomes excessive, it can take another shape. A person with high A understands the importance of data. That is a strength. But they may look for too much data, keep thinking the plan needs to be more accurate, and continue refining it until the timing for action is missed. Because of that, even a good plan may end inside a drawer. On the other hand, something that looks like a shadow can also become strength. For example, people may look at a person with high A and say, "You are too calculating. You are like a machine." But because of that very quality, the person may shake less in a crisis. When others are swept away by emotion, this person sees the structure, sets the order, and reduces loss. So the part that looks cold may actually become a power that protects the community. We can also look again at the couple fight example. If the person looks too cold, the relationship may become distant. But because of that same control, the person may keep the line and avoid saying words that should not be said. In other words, emotional control can become a wall that blocks transaction, but it can also become a safety device that keeps the relationship from collapsing. On the other hand, gaps in planning, as in the line dance example, are clearly difficult. But the ability to move first without weighing everything too much can sometimes bring vitality. A person who starts first, even if a little clumsy, may go further than a person who only thinks and then stops. So what matters in A is not becoming only cold. It is also not becoming blindly spontaneous. It is seeing facts without losing people. It is making plans while also seeing the timing of execution. A is a capable analyst inside us. It is an essential power for organizing problems, reading emotion, and finding direction. But if that power stands too far in front, warmth can be lost. If it is too weak, the power to handle reality can become unstable. So well-used A is not a cold calculator. It is a wise control device that tunes emotion and reality.